97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for October 29th, 2024. Just 2 days away from Halloween. I hope everybody's got their costumes ready. I know I don't. I went into Halloween this year. I actually first saw some spirit stores popping up in the middle of September. And after that, I told myself, hey, you need to get ahead of the game this year. You need to get your Halloween costume with weeks to spare. So you're not doing the same thing that you do year after year, which is wait until the last second. Well, I can tell you, I have not purchased a Halloween costume yet, and I don't know at this point if I'm going to purchase a Halloween costume. So if you out there are going to be something for Halloween, please let me know at Matt Skraby on X, or you can go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan. You will find the live broadcast and you can comment there. But I think I've said this before on the show. I've definitely said this on the Skraby Show, that Halloween used to be very stressful for me as a kid. Even though I loved the scary movies and all that and the season and the imagery, I never liked doing the Halloween costume thing because I was always worried that it wasn't going to be cool enough. Which, again, if I could go back in time and tell that little kid that no one really cared about what your costume looked like, then I would have maybe had an easier childhood. But I have never been good at the Halloween costumes. Never, ever, ever been good at the Halloween costumes. And I know that people out there are very good at Halloween costumes. One time I was Jack Nicholson from The Shining, which I thought was kind of fun because people did actually understand it. They say I look like Jack Nicholson from The Shining. So that was good. Another time I was an old-timey football player with like the leather hat. That was up in San Francisco. That was a crazy Halloween years and years and years ago. But Halloween this year, going to be on Thursday. And I hope everybody's ready to go because I know that kids are very excited to get trick-or-treating. And I also don't know if anyone out there is like a lot of my friends as of late, and they are not going to be offering candy at their house. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, do I want to sit outside or wait for the trick-or-treaters and give them candy? No, I don't. But I also don't have any kids, so I'm not like taking candy as well. So I think if you have kids, you have to give candy because you're also taking candy. So that's my unwritten rule of the day. That is something I don't know people are going to get behind, but I've seen a lot more of that. I've seen a lot more of the candy not being offered at houses. All right, let's get to see who's in the chat right now. We got Dan, we got Katrina, we got Songstream, we got Castro, we got Dominic, we got Carlos, we got Brandon, we got M. McKee. Dominic says, my 13-year-old daughter is going as Edward Scissorhands this year. Put the costume together herself. Talented kid. That is very talented. It's not easy to like make a really good costume these days. There's I told everybody on Friday I've been watching the Terrifier movies. Well, I finally watched Terrifier 3, and that one was a fun one. Again, if you are a scary movie fan, it's not so much scary. It's just very, very horror movie gory. But in Terrifier 2, the main character in it, she makes her own costume, and she does a really good job at it. I wish I could make my own costume. I really do. Katrina says, my kid and her friends are going as all the characters from Gravity Falls. Can't say that I know what Gravity Falls is. Let me just, for everyone out there, I'm going to Google Gravity Falls and see what that's all about. It's a cartoon. All right. It looks like a fun cartoon. Okay, so I need to check out Gravity Falls. Anyway, that's enough about Halloween. Hopefully everybody has a good time with that. Now, I would like to say the World Series right now, it's 2-1. Dodgers are on top after the Freddie Freeman home run in the top of the first inning. And Daniel Hudson is pitching for the Dodgers right now. Aaron Judge, I believe, yes, he is up at the moment. But there's been some crazy things, and Aaron Judge hit right in the hand. So he's going to be on first base. There's been some crazy things that have happened in this series so far. You got the fan interference at Dodger Stadium, which it was the worst thing that's happened with a fan involved so far this postseason. And then you have this Mookie Betts thing that just happened about 25 minutes ago that is insanity to me. I don't know that I've ever seen a fan try to pry open a glove and steal the ball out of it. Mookie Betts, so here's the situation if you haven't seen it. Mookie Betts is going into right field foul territory up against the wall where the fans are sitting, and he catches the ball. So the Yankee batter is out. But as Mookie Betts is sitting there, like in the air, two fans look down and try to grab at his glove. One fan tries to grab at his glove. The other fan tries to grab at his wrist. And these two fans are going at it, trying to rip the glove off of his hand. It is insane, I gotta say. So the Dodger fan who had fan interference is thinking, okay, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed for people to forget all about what I did in the game. I don't know what has happened with people. I really don't. And this is going to make me sound like I am 100 years old. But I just don't know why people can't go to games anymore and not have to do idiotic things like that. And there are probably a few people listening right now thinking, oh, that would be kind of fun to do that. I am not like you. I am not like you at all. And Mookie Betts, I'll give him credit. He handled this very well, and the umpires took care of the situation. But that was craziness. Now, Jazz Chisholm just singled, and so now the Yankees have runners on first and third right now. Down one, bottom of the third, one out, and Giancarlo Stanton is at the plate for the Yankees. So I will let you know what happens as we go forward. But this is it for the Yankees. It's it. They lose, they go home. Dodgers are champions. So I would expect the Yankees to pull out all the stops tonight and try to at least get this to a Game 5 and see what happens after that. But I think what I really want to talk about in regards to the World Series is it even happens to the best players. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about slumping. Slumping happens to the best players. I know that there was someone on the chat last week that was not happy with Manny Machado for disappearing during the playoffs. Well, I said you should be unhappy with everyone on the Padres because everyone disappeared in the final two games of the playoffs. But even Aaron Judge is slumping. And Judge is a much better hitter and is in the World Series slumping, which is the exact wrong time that you want to do that. I know that the guys, Tony and Chris, say that it doesn't matter, but in the scheme of things throughout a career. But bad playoff performances, in my mind, do taint legacies. And I think it taints the legacy in my mind. It also taints the legacy in fans' eyes. Because really, when the lights are at their brightest is in the playoffs and in the World Series. And the lights are only going to get brighter for people who are slumping, like Aaron Judge. I mean, the guy is incredible during most of the season. But and I know that they can't really control this, but if you are one of the greatest players of all time, like some are saying that Aaron Judge is, you have to show up in the playoffs. You have to show up in the postseason. You have to show up in the World Series. Now his team has gotten to this point, but now his team is facing elimination, and he has been, for Halloween's sake, a ghost here in the World Series. Even in the playoffs, I mean, he has not been good in the playoffs. Someone actually sent me some stats on Aaron Judge and Trent Grisham in the playoffs, so I'm trying to get those real quick because I think it really makes a big difference into how people are going to view him going forward. I mean, it's just not something that people are going to be able to forget going forward. And now all of a sudden I can't find that tweet. But they were basically saying that Aaron Judge and Trent Grisham are almost hitting the same. Aaron Judge in the postseason, now that I'm on Aaron Judge, and all of that. I'm going to just make sure that I have the right numbers because Aaron Judge in the postseason has not been one of the better players. This postseason, he's hitting 140. He has 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. His OPS is 606. His career postseason, he hits 196 and 214 at bats. He's got 15 homers, 31 RBIs. His OPS is 738. His career regular season numbers, which spans 3,564 at bats, he's a career 288 hitter and a 1.010 OPS. This regular season that he had this year, he hit 58 home runs, 144 RBIs. He hit 322. His OPS was 1.159. Now, those are amazing numbers. And if Shohei Ohtani isn't doing what he's doing, we're talking about Aaron Judge as the best player in baseball as of this moment. But when you're getting to the playoffs, you cannot not show up. You have to show up if you're Aaron Judge. You are, I'm pretty sure, the highest paid player on the team, or one of them, because Garrett Cole is done with his Yankees contract at the end of this season. But I think if you're talking about the players, if you're looking at what they think, I think they can appreciate what Aaron Judge is able to do on a day in, day out basis. So, that's why I think that maybe they won't think that his legacy is tainted. But for us, what do we talk about as fans? We talk about what happened in the postseason. What's the biggest trash talk that you can say to a Dodgers fan about Clayton Kershaw? Is, oh, well, he doesn't show up in the postseason. And he's not even going to be in this postseason. So Clayton Kershaw's out of this. Maybe that's the thing. Clayton Kershaw not on the team for the postseason. Boom, Dodgers are playing well. But that's what we say. Clayton Kershaw, pretty bad during the playoffs, incredible during the regular season. It's going to make me sound like a whiner, but I'm really trying to hope for a Yankees win tonight. And I know that history is against me, and I know that history tells me that the Dodgers are going to win this World Series. And the Yankees can pull that rabbit out of their hat, but can they do it 4 games in a row? That's going to be very, very difficult. Very unlikely that it's going to happen. But it could start right now because Anthony Rizzo is at bat, bases loaded, and there's only 1 out. So he just popped up to the shortstop, so he can't move any of the runners. Nobody can tag and score. Yankees are still down 2-1. If the Dodgers go on to win the World Series, I would like to congratulate them for spending $1 billion in free agency this offseason and being able to win the title. It's not easy spending a ton of money and winning the title. And I'm being facetious. That's a backhanded compliment, but there are plenty of times that big payroll teams don't win the World Series, don't win the sport that they're in. And this year, there's a deep fly ball to left field. It is gone! A grand slam! I don't know why I went into that, but grand slam for the Yankees. I was just trying to stall before going to break because I wanted to see what was going to happen with 2 outs and the bases loaded. Anthony Volpe, grand slam for the Yankees. They lead 5-2. And with that, I can head to break. And on the other side, we are going to talk about the Padres' shortstop position in 2025. There's lots of different tentacles. And I have some options that I will present when we get back here on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan.
Chris Ello here from Gwynn and Chris.
Skraby with you, back with the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Thank you for listening. If you want to watch on YouTube, you can. Just search 97.3 The Fan on YouTube. You will find the live show. Or you can go to my X page, at Matt Skraby, MattsKraby, as in boy, Y. I am also on that right now as well. We're going to talk about the shortstop position here in 2025 just a second, but I was asked, okay, so here's something that I have not wanted to do for a long time, but I gave into it. And the reason I didn't want to do it for a long time is because I didn't really know what I was doing. So I did some research, talked to some people, and I've had some of you out there ask me about merch. Now, I don't really necessarily think that I am important enough for merch, but hey, people are asking for it, so I am going to provide it. But if you are on the chat right now, and you can see, I got to keep the microphone in my way, but show the shirt at the same time. This is the most requested merch item. Here is what it was spurred from. Well, this is just great, everybody. So there you go. I have a sweatshirt on right now that says, well, this is just great, everybody. And I'm going to put the link up right now on the bottom of the YouTube channel, and then I'll put it on my social medias as well. But there's a lot of different things. I just put up a lot of different items, and I believe there's like 20% off right now. It's a spread shop thing. So I asked Paul months ago about what they use, and Paul was telling me all about how they do things, and I thought that was a great idea, so I was going to do it as well. So right there, you can go find it all. It's on the bottom of the screen right now. Yes. Well, this is just great, everybody, is the shirt. So you can get hoodies, you can get stickers, I guess, you can get t-shirts, much more, many more things are going to go up. So there you go. Merch store, Skraby Show, open right now. World Series, same deal, 5-2. I think the Yankees are definitely feeling themselves after that because they are playing some good defense. They almost got a double play, but Kike Hernandez ran it out. So Dodgers are still at bat, but the Yankees still do lead 5-2 after that Anthony Volpe grand slam last inning. All right. Shortstop position for the Padres. Sorry, I forgot for a second where I was going with that. It's pretty simple. We're going into the shortstop position. I don't know how I could forget. But before I get into this, I want to say, isn't it weird shortstop is one word? I always had it as two words until years ago when someone here at the station told me that shortstop was actually one word. But it's two words. And I didn't realize it was two words. Or, I'm sorry, one word. I thought it was two words. But it's really weird that shortstop is one word. Anyway, shortstop, though, just like how it's spelled, is going to get weird this offseason because there are so many different scenarios. So here is scenario number one for shortstop. This is the easiest scenario I can think of. Ha-Seong Kim accepts the mutual option. Boom, there you go. You have your shortstop. But I would think that's about 99.9% not happening. So that's the easiest one. You bring back the guy who was there last year. Next easiest option, move Xander Bogaerts back to short. This may happen. Don't think it's likely. So I don't think that Xander Bogaerts is... I can't say he's not interested in playing shortstop, but I just saw what we saw last year after Kim went out and he had to move over. And he wasn't terrible at the position, but he wasn't the shortstop that we had become accustomed to over the years with Kim and even Fernando. So the option number two is move Xander Bogaerts back to short, and I think this is an unlikely option. Option number three is move Fernando or Jackson Merrill or Jake Cronenworth to shortstop. Now, this is interesting because we talked about it on the show a little bit earlier, and Jackson Merrill, he's a natural shortstop. He's played shortstop his entire life, and then all of a sudden, his first year in the major leagues, he plays center field like he's been playing it all of his life. But I really can't see them moving Fernando or Jackson Merrill because Fernando is entrenched in right field. He is a platinum glove right fielder. I'm not messing with that. Jackson Merrill, as we said, pretty good center fielder and looks pretty comfortable out there. So I would say that Jackson Merrill moving to shortstop is an option. But and then they would have to go find another center fielder, which isn't the hardest thing in the world, I guess, but it's not the easiest thing in the world either. I think they leave Jackson Merrill in center field. Now, Jake Cronenworth, he can be put in many different places, and Jake Cronenworth is an interesting player because he's one of the longer tenured Padres. He's one of the guys under contract for a long time. And Jake Cronenworth was better with the bat last year, but he wasn't up to where he needed to be to really make that big difference at the plate. Jake Cronenworth was not bad last year at the plate. Down the stretch, it was not as good, but there were periods of time last year that Jake Cronenworth was hitting really well for the Padres and won them some games because he was hitting so well for the Padres. Jackson Merrill, though, if there is a knock on Jackson Merrill, it's that you can't run on him, or you can. Sorry, I'm all backwards today. For Jackson Merrill, you can run on him on the deep balls. So what I'm saying is he's an accurate thrower. His arm isn't strong enough yet to make the difference with someone tagging from second to third. Say if a ball is hit to the fence in like right center, he's not going to be able to throw a guy out from over there. Not many guys are, but I know that teams, and we've talked about it throughout the year, teams are aware that Jackson Merrill is a playmaker, so he can make a play, but I also think they're aware that his arm isn't the strongest for a center fielder. So that's really the only knock that I could find. And hey, I mean, that's pretty good if you can only find that as a knock. But I don't think any of those guys are going to be moving to shortstop. Fernando, Jackson Merrill, or Jake Cronenworth. If Jake Cronenworth is going to be playing next year, I think I want him to play at second base. We've talked about it. He is a above average second baseman when you look at all the numbers. They're getting they're positive on the return when he plays second base. First base is a power position, and although I don't really think that traditionally, a power first baseman is needed to win, they're losing on that because there are many other first basemen with bigger power numbers than Jake Cronenworth. So they're not keeping up in that department. If Jake is going to play anywhere in the field next year, I would really like to see him play second base. But then where do you put Xander Bogaerts? If he's going to be playing second base, he's not playing shortstop. So Jake may have to go to first. But they need to figure out a more sustainable option for first base this year. It cannot be Jake Cronenworth and Luis Arraez. Now, Luis Arraez is going to play here and there, but I don't think that Luis Arraez is a guy that you want to see more than half the games in. You want to see him more than half the games playing defensively at first base. I saw what he could do last year. He could do some good things, but there is limited defensive ability for Luis Arraez at first base. So Jake may have to go there unless they make some trades or anything like that, which brings me to option number 4. Bring in a free agent or make a trade. I'm leaning towards the trade, but I'm not sure what kind of prospect capital, quote unquote, is left. But I'm sure something can happen. The cupboards are not fully bare. They can make something happen. AJ Preller can make something happen. They're going to need, at shortstop, they're going to need an everyday guy who can consistently hit. And I'm not talking about a 300 hitter, but someone that is a professional hitter who has great at-bats, who takes up a lot of pitches. That's kind of the Padres' MO. That's their DNA at the plate. At least in 2024, it was tough at bats. It was not allowing the pitcher to get out of an inning without throwing a bunch of pitches. They try to run up that pitch count as much as they can every single day. So you need a guy like a Luis Arraez who will hack at or foul off 7 pitches in a row and then end up getting a single on the 11th pitch of the at-bat. You need someone like that for shortstop. This one is actually said with a kind of a caveat. This suggestion, I should say, because I was looking through the free agents, and Jose Iglesias played for the Mets last year. shortstop isn't his primary position, and he's up there. I think he's 35 years old. Now, Jose Iglesias had a 2.6 WAR last year, and I know how we feel about the WAR stat here on this show. But he played 85 games with the Mets. He hit 337, OPS of 830, and his OPS plus was 137. But really, he's not much of a shortstop anymore. So if you were to bring in someone like Jose Iglesias, you would be bringing him in to play second base. He played 61 games at second last year, 36 games at third, and 6 games at shortstop. And mainly he played those games at shortstop because Lindor got hurt late in the year, and he was just kind of a defensive replacement guy. He's a reliable fielder, and again, if you don't want him at short, you can have Xander play short. You could put Iglesias at second and leave Jake Cronenworth at first. So there's options there. Some of the other free agents that are out there, I don't think are good options for the Padres. Willie Adames, he's going to be a high-price shortstop. We all know Ha-Seong Kim has the mutual option. Miguel Rojas, I think we don't really, at the age of 36, going on 37, not sure that he's going to be someone that the Padres are interested in bringing in. He also has a club option. Then you got guys like Paul DeYoung, Kevin Newman. Ahmed Rosario is an interesting one. He's only 29 years old. Didn't have the biggest impact last year, but I think that's interesting. Then you got Nick Ahmed, who, was with the Padres for a second, I believe. Brandon Crawford, who's 38 years old. And then you got Tim Anderson, who's 32, but Tim Anderson has a lot of baggage to carry with him. So I'm not sure that Tim Anderson's the best fit for this clubhouse. I mean, you got to think there's still talent there, right? He hasn't shown it in the last couple of years, though, so that's kind of unfortunate in that regard. Let's see. Boogie says Anthony Santander, he's going to cost a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Dwayne says, will they have the budget to bring in a top-level shortstop? Need starting pitching first. I don't think they're going to be spending a lot of money. I don't think they're going to be spending a lot of money on shortstop this year because they have so many different options, and they don't need to sign another high-priced guy to play a position that they're not actually playing, because I'm pretty sure Xander Bogaerts was signed for all that money to play shortstop, but now he's playing second base. And let's see. Someone said trade Xander. I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it a million times. No one, unless the Padres pay for the entire contract, there is not one team in Major League Baseball that is going to accept the crazy contract that Xander Bogaerts has, making $25 million a year. So that's a contract that is 100% going to be a blockade going forward. Now, Xander could return to the form that he was signed to be. I don't know if that's going to happen because as you get older, things start to slow down a little bit. I still think this is a very interesting contract interesting player that they signed in free agency. Hey, I will take Xander Bogaerts on the team, but he's making a lot of money and he's not producing up to what that money level is. And so if he can come back and, produce next year, all good. But no one is going to trade Xander Bogaerts with the contract that he's got going on right now. It's just not going to happen. There's plenty of options out there, but the Padres have so many different areas on the team that they're going to need to focus on. Shortstop is probably, obviously it's high on the list, but it's not as high on the list as other things like starting pitching. And I think they're going to want to shore up the starting pitching because they don't want what happened in the playoffs to happen next year, where Joe Musgrove gets hurt and it kind of sent the rotation into chaos a little bit, because then you had to have Dylan Cease pitch on short rest, which would have been Joe Musgrove's day and all of that. So I think that they're going to want to go into next year with even more pitching than they already have. And they still have guys like Brian Hoeing. They still have guys like Jason Adam. And I think that they're going to prioritize the shortstop a little bit further down. They may already know who is going to play shortstop for them next year. That person might already be in the minor league system. I'm seeing DeVries on the chat right now, but I don't think DeVries is going to be ready in time for next season. I'm thinking he's more of a 2025, 2026 guy. So kind of like the catcher position, you may just be holding out until DeVries can get there. Like the catching position, you may just have to have a stopover or a guy who can hold down the position like a Kyle Higashioka until Ethan Salas can get there. So maybe this is one of those positions where they already know the future of the position, but they, in the meantime, just need to get by. And so they're going to need to bring in and be creative. They're going to bring in some guys that I think we're not even thinking of, and they got to be creative. And just like we had no idea who was going to play center field for the Padres in 2024 in spring training, it's going to be the same conversation with a lot of positions when we get to spring training. It's going to be the same conversation for the shortstop position. We are not going to know who's going to play unless there's some big trade that happens in the offseason that brings a sure-handed shortstop to town. But there's going to be a lot of conversation about that. I think this is one of the more interesting positions that we got going on for the Padres in 2025. All right. The Dodgers. Top of the fifth inning. Yankees up 5-2 in Game 4 of the World Series. Dodgers lead the series 3-0. They win. They win the championship. Yankees win. They force Game 5. Will Smith, solo shot. 364 feet. So the Yankees win. The Yankees are leading 5-3 right now in the top of the fifth inning. I'm trying to watch TV. I'm trying to do the cameras. I need to just focus on what I'm doing here, which is talking. So when we get back, talk more about the World Series. Also, I went to the Aztecs game on Saturday, and I got a lot of response to a tweet I sent. So I'm going to talk about that when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan.
Ben and Woods.
Final segment here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We just went over the shortstop position. Very confusing. We talked about the new merch site that is up and running. And I just put the link on my Twitter, at Matt Skraby, M-A-T-T-S-K-R-A-B as in boy, Y. And I got to say, I was looking at my fantasy football teams in the break. I signed up for too many leagues this year. I say this every single year. I signed up for too many, and I have 4 this year. And I am doing well in 2 of them, and I'm doing terrible in 2 of them. In fact, the Padres PR team asked me to be a part of the league, and Ben and Woods and Paul are in the league as well. Woods and I played over the weekend. Woods crushed me. That team that I have in that league is not good, and it's very unfortunate because I think I'm 1-7 now in that league. It's been a struggle. I've had Tyreek Hill, or I drafted Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill has been doing nothing for so far this season. Oh wow! I just looked at the score between Woods and our matchup. I had no idea that I was so close. Woods scored 127.04. I scored 126.42. Not joking. Now I'm getting kind of angry because I am 1-7, and I have really lost by 0.5 points like 3 or 4 times this year. I swear to you. In the first week of the season, I lost 136.98 to 136.48, so 0.5. Then we go later to the season. I lost 146.5 to 146.3, so 0.2. And then in this week 8, I lost 127.04 to 127.42. So that's 3 times this year I've lost by less than a point. And I'm really happy that I'm not taking it to heart too much because this would be pretty brutal. But I am dead last in the league. It's not my favorite thing in the world when I do terrible at fantasy football, but it's just brutal. That league is brutal. Now in my Odyssey League, I just got to 4-4, and I am looking good in that league. I just have to keep scoring points because I have scored a lot of points. I think I scored 3rd most in the league this year, and I've also had like the 2nd most points scored against me in the league this year. But I'm 4-4 in that one, and that one's good. Now, why I'm saying all this is because I'm getting to my league with my friends who I've been in this one for, I don't know, 15 years at this point. But I'm always bottom of the pack in this league. I don't know why I can't figure it out. I don't know why every single year I'm bottom of the pack. But this year, I'm 7-1, and I am 2 games ahead of 2nd place. Now, here's where things get kind of funny, because I complain all the time about teams that don't score a lot of points having a good record. Well, that's exactly me. So all of the bad luck that I'm receiving in one league, the good luck is going all the way to this other league because I have won games that I should not have won. I've won the low scoring games. The one game that I actually lost, I only lost by like 5 points. But I am one of the lowest scoring players in the league, and I am in first right now. And I know that I could lose 6 in a row just as easy as I've put up the 7-1 record. But I'm trying to sort everything. So I'm fourth. I have the fourth fewest points scored in the league, and I have the least amount of points. Or I'm sorry, least amount of points scored against me. See, math, I can't really talk, but basically what I'm trying to say is I'm playing teams that aren't scoring, and I'm scoring, but not a lot, and I'm still winning. So I'll take it. Rod says 4 leagues, 0-4 last week. Dominic says, I lost by 5 points last night. Should have started Bucky Irving. That's the one thing that's so painful about fantasy football losses or fantasy sports losses is if you were going back and forth about it and you didn't know who to start and then you started the wrong person. Like this week, I have Sam Laporta, and he's been awful so far this year. And then I had Cole Kmet, who's the Bears tight end. And Cole Kmet has been pretty decent this year in the last couple weeks, but he got nothing. And I had Sam Laporta on the bench. That's brutal. I feel for you, Dominic. And McKee said, I play my 14-year-old this week, battle for last place. Ooh, that is rough. Sorry about that, McKee. Brandon says, I'm a mediocre 4-4. Some would describe it as a roller coaster. Yeah, fantasy football can be a roller coaster. You get so excited, you win like 3 or 4 in a row, and then you lose 5 in a row. In fact, I think one of the first years, or maybe even the first year of the Odyssey Fantasy Football League, I started 3-0, and then I didn't win another game the rest of the season. And I was popping off about it. I was chanting 3-0, 3-0. And I ended up going 3-9 or something, 3-10 maybe. I lost 10 in a row. It was ridiculous. Anyway, fantasy football. Can't live with it. Can't live without it, right? Uh-huh. All right, I'll move on now. I saw this tweet last night. I thought it was funny. New York City is the first metro area. This is last night. New York City is the first metro area to lose a game in Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, NBA, and NFL on the same day, regular season or postseason. So New York City sports had it real bad last night. 4 of their major sports lost, and one of them was a big one with the Yankees. All right, Aztecs game on Saturday. I thought the Aztecs game was, I wanted to go check it out, and I waited until the last minute to do this. But I got to say, I took the trolley. I didn't want to do the parking thing because I didn't want to deal with traffic. But I went and I parked at a trolley station that was down the line and got on. It was like a quick 10, 15-minute trolley ride to the stadium, and I thought the atmosphere was really good, and I think that place would be a really, really fun place to cheer for a good college football program. The stadium itself is beautiful. It's brand new, and it looks great, and it has all the different ribbons around the stadium. It has the video boards. I mean, everything about it fits a big college football program, like a home field advantage. And if they can figure out, the Aztecs can figure out how to get people in that stadium, that place would be one of the hardest places to play. There's not a bad seat in the place. I know that there's some angles that might be tough, but you're not so far away from the field that you feel like there are little ants on the field or you feel like you're in nosebleeds. And I was up in the second deck. I was kind of a little bit further back, but I don't feel like there's a bad seat in that place. And I put this picture up on Twitter and just basically saying, hey, Aztecs, if you can get people in here, this would be a great place to play week in and week out for a college football team. And I got a lot of responses, like a lot of responses. And most of the responses, I would say 75% of the responses were win and or lose. Win and or lower ticket prices. Now, ticket prices are definitely expensive. I'm not going to give any numbers because they're all different all over the place and they change when you're looking at the secondary ticket market and all that. But if you can't price it low enough to get people in the door, then it's going to be hard for you to get people from the get-go. So you got to figure out the pricing. And I know that they give a lot of students tickets and all that, and the students show up and they do good things when they cheer and all that. But I think that if you lowered the ticket prices a little bit, you would be entering a market for people that maybe wouldn't have pulled the trigger on a higher ticket price for a team that they have right now. The other thing that people said overwhelmingly, and I agree with as well, which is they have to get a better program. They have to start winning. Now, I think that they are on the way up with Sean Lewis. I really do. They need to clean up penalties. This is his first year, willing to see what he could do for a couple more years, but they need to start winning like they did back with the Rocky Long days. If they were able to do that, if Rocky Long had the stadium, that place would be packed. I would think so. I remember that being a pretty big deal when they had Rashad Penny and they were, undefeated up until a certain point, and they were winning Mountain West titles year after year. San Diego State was not a bad football program, and it still isn't a bad football program, but it's not strong. It's not as strong as it used to be. And I really, really think that if they're able to get fans in that stadium and get some better players, kind of recruit those players, be a destination for college football players, it could be a really good thing. But that's a lot that they have to do to get there. And I think that Sean Lewis and J.D. Wicker are up for the challenge, but there's many different things that they need to take care of before they can get to a point where they're selling out a stadium every single week in, week out. Also, there are a lot of Washington State fans there. Lots of Washington State fans, which people love to come to San Diego, so that's always going to be a problem. But the game was fun. Dominic says, how was the field? The field was awful. The field was garbage, I gotta say. I mean, I know they play a lot of sports on the field, but the field was just kicking up sand everywhere. People were slipping. The grass didn't look that great. They need to figure out how to play on that field without it being a terrible sandy mess. I remember when the 49ers got the new stadium, they put in a field that no one could figure out because it wouldn't take to the ground or something. It wouldn't grow into the ground, and so they had to put a bunch of sand all over the field. They finally figured it out, so maybe they need to go up and talk to the Santa Clara people, figure out how they put the grass field in there and got a good grass field, because the field was just not good, and I can 100% say that players could get injured on that field. Now, I'm not saying that they're doing anything dangerous. I'm just saying the field's bad enough, I think, that players could get injured, and no one wants that.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, Daily Gripe. We're headed into the holiday season, and I, over the weekend, was bombarded with Amazon Prime delivery trucks. Just bombarded by them. And mostly my neighborhood. I'm not kidding. I counted 4 Amazon delivery trucks in the same neighborhood at the same time. And not to mention that, if the Amazon delivery truck is painted like an Amazon delivery truck, it's fine. They now have, rental vans that are driving around that look real creepy. Real creepy. So I'm not a big fan of all the Amazon vans going on. I try not to use Amazon. I mean, I'm not perfect. Amazon is a great source for a lot of things, quick source for a lot of things. But I tried. If I don't have to use Amazon, I won't use Amazon. I think Amazon is slightly ruining the world, but that doesn't surprise any of you out there. I just can't handle all the trucks, and it's just going to get worse going into the holiday season. There's so many vehicles out there delivering Amazon things. Amazon needs to chill. I'm a little concerned about Amazon taking over the world. Dominic says, I live down the street from a fulfillment center. They're everywhere. Oh, I'm sorry for you, Dominic, because that would be really frustrating. I was in a line, and I'm not complaining about this because it's just a part of driving, but I was in a line with 3 Amazon trucks trying to get out of my neighborhood. Why can't they just put all the stuff on one truck? Maybe our environment's not very good, or our environment definitely isn't very good. Come on, Amazon. And McKee says, I live in Poway. There is a fleet of them going down Scripps Poway Parkway from the big WH over there. It's kind of creepy. Brandon said, I worked at Amazon earlier this year. Worst job ever. I read some things about working for Amazon. Not going to knock it because I've never done it myself, but I will trust you, Brandon, that your experience was not very good. All right, that's it for the Skraby Show. I am off tomorrow. I'll be golfing, but I will be back on Friday for the Skraby Show. I'll be back on Thursday for Gwen and Chris, but back on Friday for this show. Again, merch shop is open. You can go to my Twitter at Matt Skraby. Thanks to everyone for being a part of the Skraby Show every single week. Have a good night, everybody.
Hey guys, it's Anne.